Hello, Vanessa. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. We can hear you this time.
Yeah.
So basically, the only thing you have to do is state that you're at home or your circumstances.
Do you want me to do it now?
Sure.
Perfect. Okay. I am in home. I am hopefully in a room by myself. There's kids home, but I'm in a room by myself right now. So.
All right. Good. All right. So we have Christine Kosminski is going to be absent. And we have Rick, Annie, myself, Maura, and Cheryl present, waiting on Mary Sear. So she'll be late, I guess. I didn't hear anything from her. Did anybody else?
I haven't talked to her.
Okay. All right. So let's salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So right. So did everybody get a chance to review the December 2nd minutes?
Yep.
Vanessa, did you?
Yep. I read everything.
So Vanessa, do you have any questions or updates you want to see?
No, looks good to me.
Cheryl?
Yeah, I just thought, clarification on page 1, the discussion, bottom of page 1.
Okay.
Maura explained the reasoning behind, and Maura also gave insight into possibly using funds in the spring. Could we add in there from the unexpended fund balance? I
Yeah.
believe that's what she had.
Yeah.
Where those funds were proposing to be coming from.
Where?
I actually had to look at that a couple times because I'm like, wait, no, that's the wrong year. And then I'm like, oh yeah, no, that is the right year. I'm like, no.
All right. So first page discussion, more Shaw. Explain the reason behind.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion for approval of the minutes of December 2nd as amended.
A minute. Okay. Anyone want to second that?
Second.
We'll give it to Rick this time. All right. Okay, so where was that? It's still on the first page. So
You asking me, Jim?
yeah.
Bottom of the first page in discussion
Yep.
paragraph.
More also gave insight to possibly using funds. Oh, change that to possibly using unexpended funds.
Funds in the spring of 2022.
Yep.
Or funds from the unexpended fund balance in the spring of.
Yeah, maybe it should say like 21, 22 budget year to clarify the year. But I agree with, I know,
Yeah,
I agree with what, because I did look at that a couple times, like, is that? But yeah, I know what you're saying.
From the 2021-22 budget.
Okay. All right. Is that all?
Yeah.
Okay. Laura, anything?
I don't have anything else.
No. And so, all
Fine.
right. Beautiful. That's done.
Should we vote?
All right. So Vanessa.
Yay. Yes.
Okay. Cheryl?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so the review of the budget committee guidelines. I sent out the spreadsheet with the updated. Should I have opened this up already?
I think it looked very complete. Good job.
Yeah, so basically my whole thing was just who's responsible for it, which I did update in that chart. And that all looks good to me.
I had a question. Yeah, I have a question. I'm trying to pull it up. I have such a hard time with Google email, but so the only thing that wasn't clear to me was at the very end. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull it up. Such a hard time with this stuff. When there's like multiple emails, I don't know why I struggle with Google email. Trying to get the attachment open, but it said something regarding the committee, like, does it have to be voted on at the very end? It said something about just the appointing. I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry. So
the items that are in review, in question here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 lines. We have announcement of the opening. We review for the specific of filing vacancy.
I found it. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So the last thing just says the formal public announcement to be made within 7 days of the appointment. And then it just doesn't mention anything about the appointment. And I don't know if this needs to be clarified because this is just the vacancy part of it, but like, what happens in the meeting, you know what I mean? Like because I just forget after the person is formally appointed and it's formally announced within 7 days, it's announced like in a meeting setting. Is that what it is? Or?
So what we ran into with that last year was that you and Rick had the meeting, you came to the conclusion on Cheryl, and that's where the basic public announcement was done, but it wasn't written up in the notes. I didn't put it in the notes because I just spaced it. I watched the video when it was in the video. And Mary pointed that out to me. She said, well, if you watch the video, that's not an issue. But if somebody's just reading along, they don't get the full gist of what happened.
Okay.
So the idea of making a formal announcement was that way we're covering it in the meeting, video, the notes, and we have it publicly known. So we could have Phyllis or whoever's in position the next time that happens, put it up on the website, the school website, or whatever. We don't have a Facebook page, so we can't do that.
So that's what that means by formal public announcement to be made within 7 days of appointment. I honestly, even though I was involved in the process last year, I don't remember, I remember Rick and I did make the announcement, I think at the end of the meeting, right?
You did, yes.
Yeah, I think the issue,
But
you can't assume everybody's watching the meeting.
Exactly. You can't assume that everybody's gonna go look at the meeting to figure out what's been going on.
yeah, no, I totally understand that, but I was just looking for clarification in the procedure that says where is the announcement being made or how, you know what I mean? Because again, it's just really great for me and I was involved in the process, you know?
Yeah, that was, hold on, Annie, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, Cheryl may have had her hand up first,
Oh, I'm sorry.
but I'll defer.
Yeah, it doesn't say anywhere here, and I think it was the school board that was discussing whether the decision of who to appoint would be made in public or in a non-public. I don't know if that's
yes,
relevant to put in here as to, and then that in the minutes should reflect who the appointment, who was
I thought-
chosen.
I thought the discussion was the discussion on the candidates should maybe be in non-public, because I remember when they appointed somebody, it
Right.
was made in public session. So I think if the comments were going to be disparaging, and again, I'm going off of memory of watching their discussion,
They just wanted to make sure they didn't have any that were either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but the decision should be in the public setting.
Yeah, the decision is made in public, but if you guys want to have a debate about something, you can do that in private.
Should that be put in the guidelines?
Is that something you would like to see in the guidelines?
I think so.
Okay. I mean, this is still a living document. You can write that up and send it to me, and, we can kick that around in future meetings. I just know that the first time that we had to fill a seat for Maura to come on, it was a little bit of chaos. And then last year, Rick and Vanessa were doing it, and they were asking me questions, and I was like, that's a good question. I really don't know. I
Yeah.
gave them the best answers that I could when I, shooting emails back and forth and texting with Tom.
Yeah.
and-
I'm a big believer of, if you're creating these guidelines to make it clear for the next group that comes in, that you should clarify as much as you possibly can. So, I agree with Cheryl that if you can go to I think you guys should spell out as much as you can. You know what I mean? If it's within the guidelines, because the next person that looks at this document is going to go, well, how am I making that formal announcement within 7 days? You know what I mean? Is it, does it have to be at the end of the meeting, or does it have to be at the next budget committee meeting? Or can I just do an announcement via the webpage, or do I have, it just needs to be clear. It's just so gray for me still. So that's my opinion though.
This
Yeah.
is,
Annie?
on that 7 days, I had assumed that you meant, and therefore I'm making an assumption, so it's not clear, but I assumed it was a subcommittee, not the
Yes, it is.
budget committee. So within 7 days, the subcommittee would make their decision. The announcement of the person being welcomed to the budget committee would be at whenever that next budget committee meeting is, and they would have been sworn in and just be introduced. It wouldn't be an
Right.
announcement.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if it's the subcommittee, I don't think they ought to be deferring 7 days to make a decision.
No.
I think they ought to
Okay.
do their interview and
That wasn't wrong.
have their discussion and have their vote and make the announcement, and that's it.
Okay.
That wasn't the issue.
Okay.
The issue from my conversation with Mary is that Mary showed up and didn't know who was put in the position. So the 7 days after the 7 days is addressing, we made the decision, theoretically, the decision should be made that night, and you have 7 days to announce it in some sort of a public setting. And I guess to Vanessa's point, we should just pick that setting, maybe, I don't know, or that avenue of announcing it.
Maybe it has to be the fellow budget committee members are notified.
She didn't know Cheryl was in the position.
Right. That's exactly what she told me.
Exactly. No.
Yeah.
Had
Well,
nothing to do with the decision.
I guess
Yeah. No.
I have tremendous respect for Mary, but I don't understand how she wouldn't have known. I mean, it
no,
was
she
all
did.
done in public.
She shot me an email,
Yeah.
but she was saying if somebody did not watch the video
Mm.
or read the notes, they wouldn't know. Or, there wasn't anything that came out and said prior to coming to the meeting that alerted Mary that the new member had been selected and who it was,
Other than the video.
other than the video. Yes.
To that point, though, if notes went out beforehand, isn't that our responsibility? Do meetings go out beforehand of the subcommittee?
The meeting notes, I wrote meeting notes off the video and from a couple of quick emails to them, but I didn't put it in the original notes.
So I guess I'm just wondering if there are notes that go out, shouldn't that be?
Yes, it should be.
I'm just wondering what that formal announcement is. I understand, but if there are notes that go out from a subcommittee, wouldn't it be our responsibility, whoever that person is, and then they are formally introduced when they come? Because what is the formal announcement? I mean, or do you say, I mean, I know we have to be careful about sending emails because of the quorum issue, but are you allowed to send an email out to all of us saying who was elected? Can you do that?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Charles?
Wouldn't the notes of the subcommittee be have to go out within 5 days, just like our committee meetings by
Yeah.
law have to be
5 business days.
publicized
Yep.
within 5 days. So maybe just where it says minutes of the public meeting are to be recorded to include participating members and candidates interviewed and the decision, that should be included in there. And then that the minutes must be made, must be posted in public within 5 days of the meeting. So that your announcement would be in the minutes that are publicly posted.
Right.
True.
And
Do we need
are
more?
are those minutes, again, because it's all foggy for me, are those minutes shared with the rest of the existing sitting committee?
Yeah.
In 5 days?
Yep.
You guys,
Okay.
I wrote up the minutes for your video from what I
Yep.
watched.
Mhm.
I gave them to Phyllis Kennedy. Phyllis
Mhm.
posts them on the SAU website for the budget committee.
Yeah, I just didn't know if we emailed them to other committee members. Again, I'm just looking for clarification. You know what I mean? Like,
The same way these, like tonight's meeting minutes are going to go out.
yeah,
Goes out the same way.
okay, all right. I didn't remember. So if that was the case, then Mary just missed it within the minutes that were shared with the committee, is what I'm trying, you know what I mean?
They weren't in there.
Okay.
Put Cheryl's name in the minutes the first time I sent them out. And Mary called, Mary emailed me about that.
Okay, okay.
So that's Cheryl.
So can I just suggest in that box that says minutes of the public meeting are to be recorded to include all participating members and candidates interviewed to fill the vacancy and the decision and the name of the appointee.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And then take out formal announcement and
Yeah, because,
just the minutes should be distributed to all budget committee members
So
as well as posted per law.
that's out.
I would just, I would just say that that was a very specific request of Mary. So
Mhm.
when I drafted the document, that was the section she wanted in there. So I'm just gonna put that on record. So,
Okay. So she'll come after us and not you.
oh, yeah, I mean, it was important to her.
Okay, well, maybe she'll be, I'll just,
Maybe this will satisfy it.
yeah.
Maybe.
I hope so. The idea is
Here's-
communication, right?
So you guys are saying eliminate the formal public announcement to be made within 7 days?
To make the formal public announcement, to say it's minutes instead. The minute
So
posted.
let me ask a question. How does the school board handle the announcement of the new school board representative? Did they send out a formal public announcement?
no,
No, they don't.
Okay, I was just curious to know if there was like a precedent there and something that we should kind of be following the same guidelines, but if there isn't, okay.
No, I
'cause
think,
I had a Mary moment too, when there was a new school board member appointed. I was like, who's that?
yeah,
They did not, they did not.
they announced, who was the last gentleman?
I don't remember.
I mean, I don't see any harm
announced
in,
End of their video, and I'm assuming that they had it in their
Yeah.
meeting minutes. I didn't read their meeting minutes. I just watched
Ah.
it.
I think it seems to me that this covers it for
Yeah,
what,
I-
you know, what everybody's wanted.
well, hold on, can I just, I'm sorry. I think I understand Mary's intent and I don't see any harm in you guys adding a procedural thing that says there's a public announcement to be made. You know what I mean? So I know that you're saying that it's within the minutes, but unless you open the minutes or watch the video, you know what I mean? Which, I mean, I just don't see any harm in being as transparent as possible. You know what I mean? Hey, there was a vacancy on the school budget committee. We sent a public announcement out. However, you know what I mean? Maybe it's just a post on the budget committee portion of the website that just says new member is appointed and here's the person's name. If that was Mary's intent, I don't see any harm in doing that. So
That would be a good idea, it seems, to post it on the website
Yeah,
as that makes sense. I
Because-
was concerned, my part that I was concerned about was how do you make a formal announcement within 7 days if we don't have a meeting for 3 months? You know, that was, That was my problem, but posting on the website sounds like a good solution.
Yeah, because right now, if you go to the website for the district, it says current news. I mean, we could easily have something added in the current news portion of the SAU website.
Mhm.
So if I turn around and just say that a formal announcement to be made within 7 days,
That's a great idea.
and the announcements to be on the current news. Of the SAU webpage.
Can I make one more note about this before we?
Yeah.
Right. I noticed you said that you did the minutes.
Yes.
I believe when I was in the subcommittee, not this past time, but the time before, I believe Mary did it. I kind of think that it would make more sense if, and I don't know I don't know how that was all, but I think, and I believe Cheryl, you were on that too.
Mhm.
And Mary took the minutes. I think it would be less work for you too if someone, I don't know if that should be in there or what your thoughts are, but
Yes,
you know, that's how we did it, was whoever was in it. Mary did it when I was in it with her.
we asked among the subcommittee members, who would like to be the recorder?
Yeah.
And that person recorded the meeting because we had multiple meetings.
Yeah.
So that person's role was to record the
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah, so here I have meetings of the public meeting, minutes of a public meeting are to be the subcommittee member at large
Oh.
member.
Um,
So that way it's like
well, it,
automatically defaults to somebody because the at large member is involved in the selection.
I guess I'm not trying to be nitpicky. I didn't meeting. It just says public. It doesn't say who records it.
Yeah, the next
In the next
column
column,
says responsible
responsibility-
party.
Responsible party.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Yep. You're right. Okay. Sorry.
All right. It's okay. So
So do we want to adopt these
um,
or do we want to look at them again or what do you want to do?
I'm fine with adopting them.
I feel it's important that Mary gets a look at it. She was on the subcommittee for doing this.
Good point.
And, that specific line is a line item that she was obviously very interested in getting put in there, and we have gone and added to it. And I believe we satisfied what she's looking for, and she'll be happy with it, but I want to hear it from her.
Sounds good.
She can state any changes she wants to make that, are pretty much going along with that. All right. So we're all set for the reviewing the budget committee guidelines for that. Okay. So we're going to wait. New recording secretary. I have not heard anything, anything past the email that I communicated with Phyllis Kennedy. And you,
I reached out to Kirstie Alley and she hasn't been in. So
Okay.
I haven't heard anything
All
back
right.
from her. I tried to stop by her office a couple times, but she hasn't been in the school.
yeah,
So
I thought you said she wasn't going to be here for a week or something. Like that.
I don't know.
Either way. Okay, so that's still in process. All right. Save. Close. All right, so here we go with the presentation. So, did everybody get to review the presentation that I sent?
Mhm.
Okay. Saturday, Matt and I went through some of this in the morning. He got on there with me to do a couple hours, right about an hour, actually. I think it might have been an hour. But anyway, so we went through this, and then he ended up finishing off a lot of the details today. So there were a lot of lines through the text.
Yes.
That was just, I'm leaving that stuff in there, but what do we want to make changes to it? And that was for me as a marker to say what has and has not been changed. So if I updated it, I would remove the line. So, all right. So I kind of reordered the slides so that they're grouped by like the information that they're trying to provide, that we're trying to provide to the public. And we're not skipping around from one slide presenting some details and another slide getting into, so like just reorder to the budget process and then core beliefs. Before, the core beliefs were 3 or 4 pages down.
Yes,
So that's all been kind of pushed up to get the talking out of the
that was
way.
going to be one of my suggestions.
And we're getting into the numbers further down. All right, so page 1, Sanborn Regional School District fiscal year 2022 to 2023 budget proposal per the RSA 32:1, purpose of the Budget Committee to assist its voters in the prudent appropriation of public funds. That's the same as last year. This is the budget process. This is the same as last year. School board sets goals and priorities. Administration recommends budget to school board. School board and budget committee ask questions. Detailed answers from administration. School board recommends budget to budget committee. Budget committee deliberates and recommends budget. Meets the needs. This is what we're going to be looking for, whether or not it meets the needs for high quality education, respects the burden on the taxpayer, and the need to pass staff contracts.
I have a question about that.
Okay, Cheryl.
Is it really the function of the budget committee to consider passing staff contracts? Aren't they just responsible for, or the budget committee responsible for the operating budget?
I'd like to give my opinion on that, which is I think we absolutely are. We have to take into account everything and anything that impacts the education and funding the goals of the school board and the policies of the school board and respecting the taxpayer's ability to pay. And I think that those things all play in there. I think we have to look at that. I think we also have to look at things like town budgets and we have to look at ability to pay. And we are not going to have good education if we don't enable passing contracts. We've heard Tom say that's number 1 for him this year is to get that para contract passed. That need to pay attention to it.
That may be an opinion, but I don't think that that's really our legal responsibility of the budget committee.
We
To
vote on
look
them.
at contracts.
Can I make a comment?
Vanessa?
Maybe it's just the verbiage is a little bit misleading rather than saying need to pass staff contracts. It's to carefully weigh the budget with consideration of, potential staff contracts or something like that. Because that's essentially what we do.
Consider impact of
Yeah.
other,
Yeah. I
consider the impact rather than need to.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
some people on the committee may feel they don't want to pass
Yeah.
this.
I could see changing the word verbiage on that.
Okay.
Rick has
So-
his hand.
I just think if you remember last year, there was a definite need to pass the contract, and I think that's why it was added.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a strong focus on making sure that the contract passed. So I
Yeah.
think that's why we added that.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I do think that they need to for step purposes, but I get Cheryl's point though.
So how did you say it? Weigh consideration of proposed staff contracts?
God, I hate when I can't repeat stuff.
Something good too.
Consider the
Yeah,
impact of staff contracts and burden from,
Well, we've got the burden on the
Yeah,
taxpayer before that. So,
well,
Yeah.
you also mentioned, Annie, what the town's budgets were.
right.
I don't
Yeah.
know if we should put that in there, but
Mm,
consider impact of other
I think that the,
contracts.
I would suggest just in response to that when we're considering respecting the burden on the taxpayer, that we are looking at things like towns, we're looking at inflation rates, we're looking at, individual, we're looking at how people are feeling, we're looking at employment rates. I mean, we're considering what's going on.
I think that gets rolled up into respects the burden on the taxpayer.
So does that subset then? Should that be like an indent, respect the burden on the taxpayer, and then we list the staff contracts, town budgets, like, should we then subset, what are the other potential burdens? Staff contracts, town budgets, whatever else we might want to include. But those are all burdens on the taxpayers.
Right.
And
I kind of like that.
I like consider the impact rather than respects.
Okay.
Because
Consider the
consider the impact, I think, gives more of an implication that you are looking.
Yeah,
and
I
comparing
agree
things.
with that.
Okay, so we changed respects the burden to consider the impact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and then the next one was need to pass staff contracts.
I like more of a suggestion of just putting a couple of bullets
Subset.
that are under, what are we considering? We're considering staff contracts, town budgets, other things that we might be, Annie named a few things off.
Inflation, employment
Yeah.
rates, things like that.
Are we opening ourselves up to
Yeah.
an argument on that? You
Yeah, I
know,
mean,
people-
where do you stop then? The price
Transportation.
of fuel per gallon?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Loaf of bread?
You know,
Yeah.
I'd rather wrap it into consider the impact on the taxpayer, and then the staff contracts, I just like having as a separate bullet because it's something that's important in the district. It's something that comes up every 3 out of 4 years.
Yeah.
It's always something that whoever is the superintendent say, this is really, really important.
So instead of need to pass staff contracts, how about consider upcoming contracts or, something? just
I would
consi-
agree. The need part should be.
Yeah, so just.
I think we'd all
consider-
agree the need part should come out.
The need to pass.
Yeah.
So
Almost like we're telling taxpayers, we think you should do this,
Yeah.
and we should not be doing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
We're not supposed to do that?
No.
Well, our
So,
vote kind
I
of
thought
tells
we
them
could tell people.
what we would.
Yeah.
do you want to use consider again? Consider staff contracts?
I have no preference for the word that we're gonna put in there. I mean, if it's, something.
Consider the impact on the taxpayer.
How about we just put budget committee deliberates, recommends budget, yeah, consider staff. Consider the impact on the taxpayer and consider staff contracts.
Yeah.
All right. This sentence, I don't think that belongs in there, considering that we do vote on.
Yep.
We do vote on it, and if it's a unanimous vote, it's unanimous. And if we don't have unanimous vote, and that's left in there, it's,
Last year it was unanimous.
yeah,
So, and we don't know what it'll be after the public hearing. So,
Right. So,
so it's probably better just to say,
So, the public hearing and then there's the deliberative where we present this.
the public hearing,
Yeah.
then you guys meet, we meet,
Yeah.
we decide if we've heard anything from the public that would change our minds on the budget, we re-vote on the budget.
Yeah.
And then we go to the deliberate with the vote out of the public hearing.
Okay. Okay. So there's another vote before we actually present this. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to backtrack. Should we say consider any upcoming staff contracts? Or does that not matter? Because we're looking at existing and new. Never mind.
looking for the 22, 23.
We could say proposed staff contracts. We don't have
Yeah.
any. We don't have one yet.
I
but
like that proposed.
So are we gonna consider proposed? staff
Well,
contract?
kind of, I think what I forget who said, Vanessa said upcoming. I think proposed kind of indicates to what Vanessa's saying of proposed contracts.
And it focuses on the one that's there for that year or the ones, if that were
Right.
the case.
Okay, so
I just,
change
I
consider.
would
to
say I would,
proposed,
well,
Or
no, I consider
proposed?
proposed contract.
But
Yeah, because.
they're
one
not
is our
proposed
admin.
because we don't even know what they are.
They will be by the time the
Yeah, by
public
the
Yeah.
time we do this, so
will know.
Yeah,
we
because.
present this.
I
But
don't have my-
we've come to the number before we even know. what the
Yeah,
number-
but we know that there's, when we're looking at the budget process, we do take into consideration any upcoming staff contracts for the following year and whether or not the budget needs to be, taking that into consideration. You know what I mean? So it is, I get what you're saying, that there's not a set number, but we do look at that and say, okay, we know that there's going to be a large contract coming up for A, B, and C, and that needs to be taken into consideration when we're forming our budget, even though we don't have a hard set number. Whereas if there isn't a contract coming up that next year, well, then we know, that's good to know as well. So it is taken into consideration when the budget process is talked about.
But
So
So-
I'm going to suggest that we say just consider staff contracts for the public hearing, because then we'll be voting knowing what the proposed contract is for the staff, and then we can put proposed in for the deliberative session.
we could do that, but so we're just considering the staff contracts, right? We're just thinking about them, but then we have a completely separate vote about them.
Mhm.
So our vote indicates what we feel the taxpayers are going to be able to handle, right?
I mean, if
Or
there
are we
were a-
voting because we think that seventh grade teachers don't deserve
Right.
or do deserve a pay raise?
Yeah, I mean, if the suggested contract were for $10 million, I might have some thoughts on the budget
Little
that are different.
Yeah.
I'd be
So we can say consideration of staff contracts.
Yeah, I think I like Vanessa's wording of upcoming, because we're going to have staff contracts
They're always.
in the
coming.
current budget. There's always a staff contract, but these are maybe something about staff contracts in negotiation, or, I mean, upcoming means it's a new one.
Okay, go with it.
Okay, consider
It's fine.
upcoming.
Yeah.
We went all the way in a circle there, Vanessa. Right back to where we started.
All right, we're on slide.
Doing great. Slide 3. Core beliefs of foundation for improving quality education at Sanborn. Number 1, aligned curriculum. Number 2, academic intervention. Number 3, implementing the best practices of teaching. Number 4, a culture focused on student achievement for the whole child.
A
Then
new one
that's,
in
I
there.
don't think we have any changes to make to that. That's the superintendent's staff.
yeah, so I think that's kind of like,
Cheryl has her hand up.
oh, Cheryl.
Yes. I was going to ask this, but we can't ask questions at the presentation. What is the curriculum aligned with?
Well, it's aligned with what the school board's deciding they're using for educating our kids, right? It's not
I
aligned
don't
with,
know. That's my question.
it's not aligned with the, it's not aligned with, the core,
Aligned with the
system.
core curriculum?
yeah, it's not aligned with the core curriculum
It's
because
not?
we've had a discussion with the science. Well, I haven't, but I spoke with somebody who has had discussions with the science teacher, and they're not following along with what the core is, what the core curriculum is. And they were told that. And from what I've seen my son doing in 7th grade, I'm not very happy with it.
Well, you probably don't want to have that
No.
conversation here.
No, but so.
But can I say a little something about the aligned, what Tom has said over and over again in the meetings and what they're saying in the ISA meetings is they're looking to, we do not have an aligned curriculum right now. We don't have it at all. And what they're looking to create, having done the portrait of student success and the definition of graduate or portrait of a graduate and definition of student success, is to align the curriculum vertically going from pre-K up to 12th, and then horizontally within like kindergarten. By this point, you'll learn this, by this point, you'll learn that, by that point. So then a 5th grade teacher will know what a child is supposed to have learned in 2nd grade. And the 2nd grade teacher, as they're teaching them, knows in their teaching group whether they have succeeded in communicating something. And if a child doesn't get it, then they get intervention.
Can we ask Tom to just clarify aligned curriculum, maybe add a couple of words that says what it's aligned with? So aligned throughout the grades could be the added.
What he's
that
What he's
clarifies
said
that.
over and over again, you tell me. I mean,
I'm just
you're
gonna
an
say, I
ISA
think we're speculating on this. Like, if you want to get further clarification from Tom, then if we're just quoting what Tom said, but if you want to have further clarification, I don't think, I mean, I don't know. I think we're on slide 3 in the first one when there was really no discussion. I think, I don't think we should speculate. I just say if we want clarification, yeah, I just don't want to get hung up on something that we're just speculating on.
It's a long conversation.
Yeah.
And it's been going on for a year. And they're working on it.
Can we ask Tom to just maybe clarify what it's aligned with
Sure.
by adding just a couple of words? I don't want, discussions that have been going on for years, but we're presenting to a public who doesn't know anything about these meetings. They want to know, what is this budget reflecting? What are the goals of, or the beliefs of the district that justifies the money that we're about to spend? So if they don't understand what it means, I'm a big proponent of putting these things in layman's terms, not
Sure.
getting into the weeds with educational jargon, because that just, I think, makes people feel like they don't understand what they're paying for.
Got it. All right, so we'll be asking for clarification on the aligned curriculum. Maybe add some further details from Tom.
Like a couple of words.
All right. Okay, 21-22 school board goals, rating system to move to a numeric.
Can I ask
Is
a
that-
question?
Yeah.
Why do we have this in our plan?
I was thinking the same thing. I don't-
Like, why did we have this?
And
in
that's
here?
for this year.
I mean, my first
That's
thought
not-
was this isn't something
next
we can
year's
debate,
budget.
but then I said to myself, why is this even here?
Yeah.
I agree. It should be eliminated.
I think the reason it's been there has been that our purpose is to fund education per the policies of the school board. This is the mission. We need to make sure that we've provided the funds in our proposed budget to accomplish the mission.
But we don't control how they spend the funding.
No control it. You just have to fund what they've defined.
And I don't think, maybe math curriculum has something to do with the budget, but the other things, and these are the school boards for goals for this year. And we're talking about next year's budget. So is it relevant?
I really don't think this slide
Okay, take it out.
belongs.
I would eliminate it.
Rick, how do you feel?
I just think it all matters. I guess it all depends on how you're going to present the information. If it's presented correctly, it's relevant. If you're tying into, this is the school board's mission this year and it's going to translate, into next year. It all depends on how it's presented.
Well,
We had a slide in there last year for a reason. What that reason was, I honestly can't tell you. I don't remember.
Doesn't does the school board do a presentation too?
I was gonna say, the school board has
So
all the
The
opportunities.
school
they
board
want
doesn't
to
But they
say.
don't.
the school board doesn't
They
say
don't.
anything?
They don't.
They get
They
up there-
present the default budget
Yeah, they present, and didn't Mary, no.
and their
didn't-
warrants.
Yeah, and the
So
warrants.
if they're presenting the default budget, why would they not present what the goals are?
Something to work out with the school board.
Yeah,
Want to ask them if they want to
As your
include
school
it?
board representative,
Well-
I would be happy to bring this information to them.
These are,
There you go.
these are
Go right ahead.
annual, these are annual school boards that are goals. They're supposed to be achieved by the end of this school year. So I'm just,
Yeah.
I don't understand the relevance to, we're presenting a budget for next year.
It's a good point.
and outside of that, the school board has all year long in weekly meetings and way more exposure to the public to get these points across. And I don't think that it should be on our burden a burden on us to turn around and filter throughout what they say all throughout the year to come up with this slide.
And remember, at the public hearing, people are going to ask questions. So if somebody asks you a question on this, you don't want to go,
Well, don't worry about it. Time jumps in anyway, so.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
we table this slide and I can go to the school board and get more information and see what their thoughts might be on it?
well, this is the budget committees.
Yeah. I,
But I think what I'm saying though is if the school, I kind of made a comment of, well, why is a school, should the school board not be saying this? And if I bring to their attention, hey, maybe you guys should be saying this, not the budget committee. And if they're going to say that, then there's no point in us saying it.
I don't even
yeah,
want to place. It's their business.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think the burden is on the school board to communicate their own goals. It's not, we don't have any say, you know what I mean? I understand that you guys think that we fund them, but they still set their own goals and their own guidelines. Like we go and through the budget and we say, okay, you know what I mean? Like, how are we affecting the grading system or the strategic plan, like, I don't know.
So to Cheryl's point, I think it's a good idea. Just take this one out. Let the school board do whatever,
Yeah,
let
I-
them decide if they want to.
Either way, I'll bring it up. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll bring it to them and if they want to put it in their slide, but I'll bring this information to them.
And quite honestly, I could save that for my public. I believe the school board should be saying something more during this, and this should be their deal. So
Okay.
Yeah.
it's removed. It's just hidden from presentation at this time.
Okay.
All right, so operating budget proposal, fiscal year 22-23, proposed $37,179,463. The difference is $1,167,537 from the current budget, and it's 3.39% reduction. No,
Increase.
increase, I'm sorry.
That looks like deduction when you have it in
It's
parentheses.
in red.
Yeah.
In your normal, we went through this, last year or 2 years ago, that it's actually a debit to the taxpayers.
Yeah,
So
but it's high.
it's an addition to the budget, and the budget is a burden, like it's a bill on the taxpayer, so it is a negative, but it's an increase. It's an increase in our costs. Our costs to us are negative.
But I thought we decided last year that we were going to differentiate on the slides. Anything that was a negative number was going to be red, and anything that wasn't a negative number was going to be black. Am I remembering that incorrectly?
I believe last year the budget actually went down. So it's a different thing than this. So
Yeah, but
it should be red. I think you ought to do it in blue or something and take the parentheses out.
And I think you should have what the current budget is. The actual number should be there somewhere.
Why doesn't he have that in here?
So you might start off with current budget is whatever,
Oh, okay,
proposed.
I see. Yeah. It shouldn't be red. It is increased. Yeah. But yeah, that should be black.
So,
I can see the 53,000 being read.
Yes.
okay,
Yeah, because you want to
All right.
So the,
so difference from current, we should put an increase. We should actually write increase because difference from the current
right.
without having,
I would
yeah,
agree
you
with
gotta
that.
add the current.
Right.
So how about if you, yeah, you put current above the proposed, right?
or put 20, 21, 22 budget.
At this point, what the superintendent originally proposed is no longer the proposed budget. Is that right? Like that's out the window.
Yep,
Well, he just started it and the new proposed is what we
it's our
adopted
budget.
last. So,
Right.
okay, so whatever he originally just gone. Okay.
All right, so current operating budget.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the S out of operating.
God.
No, 21, 22.
All right. Current operating budget. No wonder why. There we go. Okay,
And so make
So-
the numbers black. Those should be black, yeah.
that's flat.
Yeah.
Are we gonna put the percentage in there as well?
Should we put current operating budget rather than just current? Difference from current. I don't, does that confuse anyone that, oh wait, are we talking about default or operating or what are?
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Or am I just being?
Actually,
nitpicky?
the current budget doesn't matter if it's a default or anything else. It's just the approved budget. It's the budget we're
During cu-
working with now.
So current budget.
Just
or-
put current budget instead of current operating budget.
Or budget, yeah, I just,
I think you also ought to say, instead of difference from, just say increase to current. And just be very clear.
Sure.
yeah, yeah,
That's what I wanted to
yeah.
get in. Increase to current budget.
Then
So
put
they
the-
should do the same there, yeah.
All right, increase.
And I think if you put a percentage on one, you should put a percentage on the other.
Yeah,
Make it uniform.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, we good with this page?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Budget proposal funds, quality education. This is another slide that this I don't think needs to be there.
I don't think the whole
This-
slide needs to be there.
Well, this is the stuff that we need to consider for the upcoming years or the stuff that's happening.
Yeah, so you're going from a slide that says, here's your increase, right?
Yep.
And in my mind, right, I'm the layman's person sitting that hasn't watched anything. Oh, $1 million of increase. Next slide. Oh, so we're spending money on a track, we're getting upgrades, and we're doing more professional development. That's the $1 million.
I agree with you.
Doesn't flow.
There's not a
Yeah.
slide that says, what is that increase coming from? There's nothing that
It
says,
may be-
where is
or
that?
I think if you're gonna say, here's the increase, this is why it's increasing, and this is future needs, that should be
Yeah.
down somewhere else.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. That slide should be there, just not there.
Yeah.
It should be later down.
Yeah.
Because I think we had this
So-
conversation question in
Okay,
years
so-
past about making sure people knew of,
Yeah.
hey, these are going to be upcoming expenses, but
All right.
Oh, is this-
That-
Carol's right.
There
We
it
should
is.
definitely say why. Why did it go up?
Yeah,
167.
there it is. He's got,
Oh,
Right
this
here.
is not the one.
This
he-
slide
he-
goes
he-
up there.
That is
Okay.
way too small font.
Yeah.
That has to be much.
It does
bigger.
not go there. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because that talks about the increase.
Now you're gonna explain, what is this 1 million?
This.
Right. Okay.
Big, big, bigger, bigger,
let's see,
bigger.
Table. All right, I'll go to a crust.
I cannot even read that, and I'm sitting close.
Update table font for Cheryl.
I need better glasses.
Not just Cheryl. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I'm struggling too.
Yeah.
All right.
Jim, is that in the email that you sent?
No,
Is what?
Is that slide in the email that you sent?
No, Matt may have, excuse me, Matt updated these files
Okay,
today. I had sent you the first version of it that him and I worked on Saturday morning.
okay,
He
I
finished
just,
up today. And
okay,
so you're not gonna have the same numbers.
okay. So can you just tell me what the slide says? Because I can't read it at all. So I was hoping to have it.
just select it all and increase the font.
Increases related to collective bargaining agreements, 500,000. Increase in health insurance, 424,000. Oh, there we
There
go.
we go.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh, I can
Oh,
read
there.
that.
It's too big.
Yeah, yeah.
It's too big.
Like, wait, what?
I need a 20 and a half.
Beautiful.
All right, so,
Good.
Can you see that, Vanessa?
Yep, I can see that now. Thank you.
all right.
Yeah, I'm glad that that was added in there. 'Cause
Yeah.
I felt that was a.
Yeah, that's good.
So is all this accurate? These numbers and everything?
Match the previous.
Yeah,
one?
it does actually. How about
Good.
that?
That's,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
it
look at that.
does. Yay.
All right,
Awesome.
so we're all good now?
Yep.
So those, now where we have parentheses, those are decreases?
Yes.
Yes.
Should we put those in red? No, which
If
was,
it's only gonna be red for us to see and view up on the screen, when it's printed out, it's gonna be black and white.
okay. So,
As an accounting person, I do like it being in red, but I think Vanessa already made this comment that I think we agreed last year to make it black, everything black, but
No,
we
I
did
thought we agreed. No,
before.
Right on the.
I thought we kept it red last year.
Just gonna make those red.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
We agreed that
your
we were gonna do it
comment
red.
might say that numbers in red
Yeah.
and parentheses are decreases or
Yeah.
reductions in the costs.
I can specifically call that out when I hit this page. I can turn around and say, okay, here on this page, this is a summary of the major changes in the superintendent's recommended budget for 2022. And I'm not even going to say that because they can read that. I'm just going to turn around and say, this is a summary of the major changes. We have increases on the first two lines here. Here we have a decrease, another increase, and two more decreases.
Yeah, I don't think you need to read. Yeah, when you present, I don't think you need to read. Everybody's going to have this in their hand. I don't think you need to read in particular, like all the numbers.
No,
No.
You
agreed.
don't need to go
Last
through
year
all
I
of
was
that.
Dying.
Yeah.
Burdensome. Also, just use big numbers on a lot of them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because people can see the detail.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, anytime you read a number, I wouldn't say 502,822. I would just say,
I forgot what the beginning was.
yeah, 502,000. You know what I mean? Like,
I would, Jim, bold the total,
Yeah.
make it different than the other numbers, so then
Yeah.
they can see, oh, that matches that number on the
Yeah.
previous slide.
Okay.
It's amazing. This is new news to me, that SST, obviously they've come out with their tuition now because when we had our meeting last week, they didn't know for sure. So now
Oh.
it's going down a little bit.
Didn't I think that the enrollment was going down. Our enrollment of SST was going down.
yeah, the cost went up.
Have now.
What's that?
I thought they used 50, the same as we have now. We used to have 100. We used to have 120. I mean, we just don't have as much demand for it.
Well, I think
That's why I wondered
I
if
think
some-
COVID has a lot to
They-
do with that.
And the ELOs.
Yeah, that's what they were saying, I think at the last meeting, that the ELOs are becoming very popular. But I'm sure that probably plays a factor into it as well.
Done with page, slide 6,
Mhm.
on to 7. Okay,
were-
resurfacing track. So this one, that I don't believe needs to be there
No.
because it's,
Like future consideration or something.
this should be
Yes. Yeah,
larger font.
yes,
That should be in the heading
yeah.
and take
Mhm.
out budget, this budget.
Yeah.
Funds quality education.
Do we,
And
do we need
yeah.
to take out the source since you're changing the slide? I don't know how that works.
Um,
I, I- I think it's okay without having, because it's still the numbers that are
Right.
sourced.
Okay.
Wasn't the
purpose of
auditorium on
this
that one,
slide?
on that list?
the auditorium was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. it was.
Yeah, that was his big 3.
I was gonna say, and was the resurfacing 128? Why did I think it was 75?
Auditorium was there, professional development was more. for-
Professional development.
Yeah. Is this one of the slides that Matt just
Auditorium
added?
was 128, 163.
That was the auditorium then.
Yeah, where
professional
did
de-
that,
yeah,
did
I
Matt
mean-
do that slide, Jim, or where did
Yeah,
that?
Matt updated that slide.
That's, I wonder why he did that. Like, I wonder why Matt,
Research-
more professional development.
That was
I don't know,
here,
maybe he just
this
skipped over it.
slide. But the auditorium,
Oh, and then just as time has gone on, there's been talk of Tom's big 3. And Tom's big 3 is the track, the wireless, and the
The
auditorium.
auditorium.
So we're picking out 3, but if we're gonna pick out 3, I could just say from school board, we've been talking about Tom's big 3, and Tom's big 3 is not more professional development, it's the auditorium.
auditorium
so it was the-
is
But I see what you're saying. It is on that slide.
128, 163.
So when we did our budget preparation, the latest information we had was the big 3. So that's what I think we ought to put up there.
Yeah, yes, I agree. That's what I would say, that's
And then take
that's what
out
I
the
keep
source.
hearing being talked about.
You could just say
Auditorium
source,
equipment upgrade.
superintendent recommendation.
Tom's big 3.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Well, I'd like to know what the purpose of this slide is. Again, I'm devil's advocate. I'm every man. Why is this slide here when we're talking about this year's budget?
Because I think last year a point was made that we need to understand what's going to be upcoming. Like if it's not in
Yeah.
this year's budget, be prepared. These are things that are going to be coming up in the near future.
And
I-
I believe there's been discussions of paying for these things with funds left over, correct?
That's it.
Yes.
That's the purpose. Remember,
Um,
somebody said spending spree and it was like, oh no, don't use that word.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
but again, for transparency to the public, I think we should say, these are really important things and that they're being considered for
Now,
being paid through unexpended fund balance.
this is also falling into the same
Go back-
category
go back-
of
go-
one of the other slides.
Go
Hey,
back.
guys, you need to fix the gym, the resurfacing. It wasn't, that's not the resurfacing number.
Recommended budget, not presentation.
Well, it wasn't his presentation.
Now, it was in the
we-
presentation.
No, the auditorium wasn't.
Yeah, but I think we changed it.
It's-
I
it
think
was
we
in his
changed the
presentation,
context.
Right here.
Yeah, but it wasn't on that page with it was in there, but it wasn't. I mean, we've taken out the professional development that was on the page for the important things. And then he said, and also kind of on that page.
Yeah.
And he's shifted the auditorium into the most important now.
No, it's in his November 3rd budget presentation.
So none of
But I
these
think we
critical costs-
changed the context of it. Because where it's on there, there's like 5 line items.
Yeah.
But what we just did was we I don't think we went and took his slide and put it in there. I think we modified a slide, so I don't think we should.
So this one was critical costs. These are in the budget, right?
No,
No.
No, this is next year.
Items that need to be considered and taken care of.
NIASC,
Hey, guys.
The what?
the van, that's in the budget.
oh, the van, oh, okay, sorry, yeah,
This
you're
is
right.
In the budget.
Those are in the budget.
These are the
Alright.
critical things that are in the budget. The next page is
Jesus Christ.
necessary, not in operating budget, but
Okay.
these were the things that he said, and the school board said they would like to consider using unexpended fund balance to
Right.
pay for these.
So it was done during the superintendent's recommended budget presentation.
Yes, it was.
So it's fine.
Yep.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was ignoring you for a second.
No, I said something a few times. You need to fix the resurfacing. It's only 75,000.
Oh.
Say
yeah,
what?
I definitely didn't hear you say. Oh, I think. it's-
Resurfacing of the
I think I
track.
got flip-flopped.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, the resurfacing the track is the
76.
auditorium amount.
Yes, it's 75,000.
76,000.
Oh, I don't know. My notes say 75, but
I'm looking at,
Inflation.
Why
I
did that?
I would
yeah,
make
I'm looking at his
those
budget.
bigger.
okay, good. Yeah, I never got a copy of that because I wasn't there for the meeting. They were supposed to give it to me with the book, but they never did.
But I think we need to explain what this slide means. Because people will say, okay, so we'll consider that next year. But that's not what the school board or what Tom is saying.
Okay,
He's saying
how
they
about-
want to use the unexpended funds for the.
Yeah, how about important budget needs to consider soon? And then in your presentation, say it may or may not be considered this year with unexpended funds. The school board will decide.
I think Rick kind of made a good point earlier of just sort of saying a lot of it is how you present it. You can justify any of this information being in there as long as you present it. And I think this is just a slide that you have to present and sell. Like,
Sure.
we're telling you this because
Yep. And
explain
so-
it.
We're
And as-
telling you this because if you don't resurface the track, all the people I saw Sunday last week on the track will not be permitted on there because insurance regulations will not allow you to be. Wireless upgrades, 8-year-old system, you know, you
Yeah.
can go on and on if you want to.
Right.
So
More.
maybe your header isn't to consider in coming years, but maybe the header needs to be, critical budget needs, like critical budget needs still to be addressed or some, you know what I mean? Something like that. So you're leaving it open and then you can say it'll either be in future budgets or at the end of the year funding. So if you just, because these are critical. He outlined these as critical, right? So,
He called them necessary, but in his presentation and his discussions with us at the last meeting, and I think at the school board, really said, these things need to be done because if the wireless breaks, we're going to have to pay for it, whether or
Yeah.
not it was in the budget or funded. So
mhm.
that 100,000's going to have to come from someplace else because we cannot run this district without internet.
Right.
So I think that people need to understand that point. That makes sense to me. As a taxpayer, that makes total sense to me. I don't understand why it's not in the operating budget. If it's that necessary, and if we can't run the district without that, why isn't it in the operating budget?
Well, I think one thing that Tom said is that the internet, what are they called? The technology department is developing the quotes, basically. It isn't, I mean, they're not together yet. They're doing their audit and they're developing how much it's actually going to cost. It's not going to cost exactly $100,000. That's just an estimate.
Well, everything in the budget is an estimate,
Well,
except for the contract.
yeah, but I'm just saying the internet hasn't been looked at in detail to see when, they haven't come up with a plan yet. Maybe it's over 5 years. Maybe they're going to do part of it. Maybe they're going to do it in 2 years. Maybe they're going to do it in 1 month. I don't know. And we haven't been told yet.
I think the slide is good. I think it's just important, Jim, that you explain the slide.
Sure. Okay. So I gotta put a note over that Tilbrack Brown store on each.
And I don't think you should say in coming years. I mean, I think that
Yeah.
I just don't want to mislead people. You know what I mean? It's not coming years. It's like either the end of this year or next year's budget. You know what I mean? It's
Important
yeah.
needs to consider not in budget.
I take the word budget right out of that
Yes,
header because it's not in the
Oh,
budget.
yeah.
I wouldn't miss,
Yeah,
it's not in
yeah.
the budget at all. It's a critical need that's
True.
not in the budget. Or it's,
Are we gonna go critical needs or important needs?
Tom called them important in his presentation, didn't he?
I think you said critical
He called them necessary.
Oh,
Necessary. Let's
there
use,
you go.
needs.
yeah, yeah. How about just,
I think it needs to say that it's not in the budget. If we're gonna take out coming years.
Yeah.
I think it needs to say not in budget. People need to know this is not in the budget.
important needs not in the budget, not covered in the budget? Not paid for by the budget? Or just
Important
not,
needs not included in the current budget.
Not in
Included.
operating budget. That's what he said.
Right.
Important needs not in operating budget.
Necessary.
Yes, yeah.
I like necessary, not
Necessary
just
needs not.
important. Necessary means we need these things.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly what the superintendent said. Yeah, necessary. Well, he doesn't say needs, necessary needs, not an operating budget.
operating budget. And you could amplify that, say, you know, not in the budget for this year, not in the budget for next year, you know?
Necessary expenditures, not an operating budget. Necessary,
So important needs not in the operating budget, but
How about
will
not,
be funded with,
How
You
about
can't say
not-
will be
Can't
because we
say-
don't know that they're gonna be
oh,
funded.
but
not
maybe.
yet funded?
No, I wouldn't say maybe. I would say, here are the needs, these are the things, and then you can say like, the school board has expressed interest that if there are unexpended funds at the end of the year, that they'll consider funding some of these things with proper quoting and that type of thing. But I don't think we should be telling people that that's what's going to happen. But
Okay.
it should, but
True.
I do think that they should recognize that while these are not in the budget, that we're, that they are being addressed.
Sure.
I mean, they could come back and be like, nope, that's not good enough. We want it to be in there, and they could vote to put it back in, which, whatever, but
Okay.
I don't
Can you
think
put,
anything's set in stone.
like an asterisk saying board may choose to fund through unexpended fund balance.
I think it should just be said. I don't think that,
They haven't had a vote on that.
yeah,
No,
there's
that's why I
nothing,
said.
there's nothing concrete. It was
consider
it
it.
was just people's comments. So
Yeah.
I don't think people's comments should be, none of that's just a fact.
Well, what does this mean, board choice?
That's whether or not the board's gonna choose to do it with the funds at the end of the year. That's pretty much what he said right there.
No, but I don't think that's what he said, because I don't think that's what that means, because the board never had a conversation about doing that when he did his presentation. The board never had a conversation until last week about that.
That's
And then they voted on the budget.
not, yeah.
Rick,
Okay, so we've had discussion as a budget committee on this.
Yep.
And so has the school board, and that's a fact, right?
Yep.
So you're okay to say that the discussions have been that these items may be paid for with unexpended funds. If you want to use direct quotes, you can say, we'll continue to fund facilities, but in a realistic manner, applying monies and leftover funds. Jim Baker. It's a direct quote from the meeting 2 weeks ago. So you don't need to say that, but I think just there's been discussions that there's a possibility that these could be funded with leftover funds, and you move on to the next slide.
Yeah, I was gonna say something along the lines of what Rick said. You could just say, these are important needs not covered in the current operating budget, and there's two ways that they could get funded. End of the year expenditures decided by the school board or in next year's budget. Like it's black and white.
I like it.
So it's coming one way or the other.
Not, but I don't
I know what you're saying though. You don't.
necessarily coming one way or the other. I think-
Yeah, but I
I
mean,
think that people should have the right, and I'm not saying that I would encourage people to do this, but if they should, I think people should know, you know what? No, we want to know for sure, this is in the budget. They should know the only way that they for sure can know that it's going to be in the budget is if they put it in there. I don't want to mislead anyone to think that,
yeah.
and I'm okay with how it's being laid out, but I think that people should clearly know that they do have the option to put it back in if they so choose. That's the only way they can really feel like they're guaranteed to get it in there.
Well, I mean,
Regulation.
that's understood as part of the deliberative process. You know what I mean? If you choose to wipe $1 million out of, staff, I mean, at any points, the public can choose to put it back in there, so.
Okay. All right.
So then you would say there are two possible ways. There are others too. I mean, basically leave it open. Don't close it off with just two, I think, Mark.
Right. That's what I'm saying. There's actually three
Oh.
possible ways.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think There's a third
Warrant
possible way, which is they could vote to add it into the budget.
Gotcha.
I'm just
Sorry.
saying that's a possibility. They do have that option.
Okay.
Meaning the public?
The public at the deliberative session
Yep.
has the option. They have a third option, put it in the budget. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So I got a note for the time for reviewing that and putting together a story. Okay. Next. This is not needed.
I think we've been over that enough.
I'd like to talk about that. I'm just kidding.
I want to see it implemented.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So the summary of the major changes.
We don't need that one.
You already have it.
Well, all these are crossed out anyway.
That's last year's budget.
They're
Yeah.
all crossed out because if I made a change to it, I would remove the cross out so that I know that it's been revised. So like, if we said we wanted to change this title, anything that's got a cross out through it, if I change it, I will remove the cross out so that I know it's been completed.
Okay, I thought you meant these slides would not be included since everything's crossed out.
Yeah, no, these slides are not going to be included. They're being hidden right now.
Okay.
When I do my next iteration of this, I'll delete those. So I'll keep a running revision log of this. 10. Hide. 11.
So I have a question. I'm looking at these. These all say recommended operating budget, where we said proposed operating budget.
That's because this was last year we had two budgets going in. We had the recommended from the,
What I've tended to do, and I think this is for me, is the only proposed operating budget in the RSAs is from the budget committee.
Yeah.
So I've called anything before that recommended. Because it's not proposed until the budget committee proposes it.
yep. So this one's hide the slide. We didn't make any changes.
That one's gone.
Talk about the school board's decrease in the budget because this slide was about the budget. All right, so here, Matt's asking me if we want to keep this slide and put in there what the school board's decrease in the budget is. But this is only what we decided when we voted on that. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
All right. So this slide, I don't believe this is
I don't think
relevant.
Oh, yeah, because we didn't change it.
anything.
We didn't change anything. We
Yeah.
agreed with it, so. Working staff reductions. Do we want to continue doing this?
I think we need to do something on, not on staff reductions, but I talked with Matt today.
Uh-huh.
And I asked him if he's able to figure out what, first of all, the new cost per student. In January, last year's cost per student will come out, but from the Department of Education. And Matt could figure out, and said he would be willing to, if we want him to, figure out what the cost per student is likely to be this year and next year with these budgets.
Okay.
Because it's something that's been important to voters to know kind of what our trends have been.
All right.
The other thing is on the student teacher ratio, the numbers that have been reported by the district to the state have been inaccurate in many cases. They had one case where there was one person who was doing 3 different jobs. It was described as 3 positions.
Yep.
And then they had another one that was 0.8 of a position that was reported as half a position. And there are a lot of them like that all over the place. So he is working on getting that accurate going forward. And he said he will do the best he can to figure out where we actually are.
Okay.
We've improved on the state,
Yeah.
but we don't know how accurate that is. But he said he would work on it.
I remember last year he was telling me, Vanessa?
I don't want to mention anything just regarding teachers and like students. I don't think that that's related to the budget. You know what I mean? Personally, it's nothing that we control. It's just in terms of our slides. I don't feel a need to mention anything about that. I mean, cost per pupil obviously relates directly to the budget, but I don't think the staff and student ratio has anything to do with the budget that we propose because we don't control that.
Well, I disagree with you, and let me tell you why.
Okay.
70 to 75% of every school district budget in New Hampshire is staffing and benefits. I
Yeah.
mean, ours is too. Ours was 72%. I don't know what it is right now. It's probably higher. But it's always covering. If the classes are larger, then you can pay teachers more and still be within that 70 to 75%. If the classes are smaller, like we used to have at Memorial with 10, 11, 12 kids in a class, then there isn't the money in that 70 to 75%. So it's a huge budget consideration, in my opinion, what we're doing. And it's also a huge thing for me in talking to my constituents to have them support what we're backing.
But we don't.
Where we are and what we're doing and how we're spending our money.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm trying to say is, I don't think anybody on this board could tell you now what the current ratios are, which just tells you we don't have an impact to it. You know what I mean? Nothing within the budget that we discussed talked about student to staffing ratio. Are we appropriately staffed? Do we need more teachers? That's just not a discussion that happens within our budget process. You know what I mean? It didn't.
Cheryl?
Yeah, and I would add, we don't even have a slide about that. We don't even have a slide about enrollment or the number of teachers, or we used to get an annual. This grade 3 has 3 teachers and, section 1 has this many students, section 2 has this many. This year, I had to ask for current enrollments. It was not given to us.
Yeah, I ask for it every year too.
And I'm very surprised that that's not, especially because there's a slide in here that says the budget is driven by student enrollment.
So should we add a slide?
It's not even here. The budget is driven by student enrollment trends, and there's not even a slide about what the student enrollment trends are.
I think that would be fair to add a slide
right.
for student enrollment.
And if at the bottom of that, you wanted to make a note of our current student to teacher ratio is this, then I feel it appropriately ties it all together.
Yeah.
And cost per student.
Yeah, because I think, and I understand in years past, the slides, because there's a whole reconfiguration. So I guess I understand the need for that. But yeah, there was really no talk about the amount of teachers other than the fact that we just haven't been able to fill the intervention position. So
Yeah. It was appropriate last year because we made an amendment.
Ratio.
Sorry. I have a hard time telling, the microphones go low on you guys, so I have a hard time telling when you stop. So I apologize if I'm constantly talking over people.
You're fine.
The last year, we made some amendments, an amendment to the budget just in terms of paraprofessionals, so I feel like it's more appropriate when that discussion is within the budget for that current year. If it's something that comes up, we can certainly make sure to highlight it, but
Okay, so where do you want to put that? I was just looking for that slide that said something about that
I
it's
think
driven.
about where we were.
It's at the end, Jim.
Yeah, kind of where we were, I
Yeah.
think is a good spot to put it.
Maybe you took it out. It's at the end of the one that you sent us.
Which-
It's like slide 22.
Oh, okay.
Can you back up? No, I'm sorry. Try like maybe slide 13 or something.
This is slide 13 here.
Go down. Right there. I mean, I knew we had enrollment. We had this in there last year too, right? So like there's enrollment.
Yep.
So maybe you change the headers on those other two into, teachers and then cost per student. And there's your chart right there. That's your running list. You add the next.
oh, that's a good idea. I like that.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
that's a great idea.
Two.
Enrollment trends,
Cost
forecasted enrollment trends.
I just think you current,
Projected.
But I mean,
Well-
most of the data is going to be historical.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that is true too. It's
I mean,
all
there-
think you-
one
Historical.
forecasted amount, but it's pretty much historical, not.
Yeah, I think you just do staff and in enrollment. It's like something as basic as that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we would have a school year, the enrollment, and then what the teacher ratio in the
And
next
do
column.
enrollment and staff, because you're going to have that first. And staffing.
Okay. Enrollment and staff.
Yes, more you'd have enrollment, teacher ratio, cost per student.
Where is that teacher ratio statistic come from?
We have to
Forget
get
it.
that, right?
The student teacher ratio
Mm.
from the Board of Education, New Hampshire Board of Ed. But it's reported on our, I think it's 12A's forms, and they put it together from there.
But
How
is
does-
that what
why
is that what you?
Just thinking
Sorry.
about like an elementary school teacher student ratio as opposed to high school courses.
Yeah.
It's like apples and oranges.
They do it for the whole thing. And what we've done in the past is compare against other K through 12 similar sized schools.
Can I ask a
yeah.
question?
Hey,
Vanessa?
But
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Annie. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, this isn't about a comparison against other schools. This is just kind of our historic thing that we're talking about right now.
And Matt, Tom or Matt had already said what the student ratios were. Vanessa, go ahead.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. So is that what Annie was saying was skewed? Was because I'm just concerned about putting something in here if it's not accurate. I don't want us to.
Now, the state counts the actions of, oh no, the state counts the job function of teachers down to tenths of a percentage. And they were having more teachers or less teachers. I think it was indicating more teachers per student. So it was it was a reduction in students
numbers
per
are-
teacher.
The numbers are wrong.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's more or less.
So
So
we're talking with
Yeah.
Matt last year, and he said that the the state was counting paras as teachers in some positions,
Okay.
something to that effect, and that was skewing what it was.
Actually, if you remember last year, the presentation that the superintendent gave, he projected a student-teacher ratio of 8.5, whereas the state average is 12.2. And it was horrifying. It was just like, and he said, well, with enrollment dropping so fast, we can't catch up. But it was an inaccurate number.
Yeah.
So what Matt has said to me today is that he is going to give us an accurate projection for this year and next year. And he'll use the historical stuff that's from the State Department of Education website for the past information.
So in Tom's presentations, he just talks about anticipated enrollment and class sizes. He doesn't, so nothing in the presentations really talks about the student to teacher ratio, it's just class sizes. So again, I'm concerned if we know that that information is incorrect,
Yeah.
I don't think we should use it unless Matt can verify that his information's correct.
Cheryl?
Yeah, I'm just wondering again, what is the relevance of that information to the budget presentation? If we're not sure about the numbers and we can't explain to people how this information we're giving you relates to what you're going to pay, if we can't explain that, it's going to just make things more confusing.
So, sorry.
Rick?
Okay, so the slide has value because it's what the budget is primarily made of. I agree. If they can't provide the information, don't put the slide in.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Or,
hold on, Vanessa. What I think
Okay.
this slide could turn into is a slide which I turn around and say, this is your budget for this upcoming year. And this budget is going to be covering the buildings, head count of teachers, education, and the education for this number of students. We feed them, we provide them shelter, we feed them, and we transport them. The ones that we do transport, we transport, and it's all happening in this budget. Something to that effect. And we could turn around and say, so we have 1,600 students and 148 teachers, and add admin in there.
Let's just say, let the slide talk for itself.
Yeah,
Okay.
my feeling is, right, unless I'm, oh, sorry.
I was telling her 1 minute.
I think my feeling is the numbers are going to show positive results. I mean, everything that I've seen. So let's get the numbers.
Yeah.
And we don't have to make a decision tonight, but let's get the numbers. If they can't
Exactly.
provide good numbers, then we scrap it.
I agree with that.
Vanessa?
I was just gonna say, I mean, I'm okay with that, but I was gonna say, you could just talk about enrollment. I mean, Cheryl made a valid point earlier that we don't have specifics on enrollment. So if we opt to remove the stat portion of it, you can, because I mean, listen, increase in enrollment did play into the current budget, you know what I mean? So it was unanticipated, and it's leading to many other discussions. So it's valid to list the school years, the enrollment numbers, so people can see that trend. And then you can talk about class sizes or something like that. And that way it's only specifically related to enrollment because we don't have accurate staffing information or something like that.
I didn't understand the last part of what you were saying.
Sorry. I just said, if we opt to not put the staffing part in it, we can just focus on the enrollments. The school year, the number of students enrolled, and then the class sizes, because we have that information. Although it varies by school, so never mind the class sizes. But I think it's important to leave the enrollment part in there, and then we can decide with the staffing. I just struggle with the staffing because I don't have a good handle on it. And, it's just, so I don't know.
I suggest that we ask Matt what information he can give us. Can he give us an accurate student-teacher ratio for, these years, what should have been reported? Or can he just tell us the number of full-time teachers that there were? Or if he can't, then we don't do it. As Rick was saying, you know, let's see what Matt can come up with. I do think we need to have the cost per student. That's been something that's been in the conversation year after year after year. Many, many voters expect to know what the cost per student is.
If they have that and
I don't
it's
really
not getting said at all, I mean, the school board isn't putting that out there. And
Is
we're gonna,
putting, what?
the school board isn't gonna be putting that out there during our deliberative.
No, they're not.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're not gonna be putting that out there. So if somebody needs to say that, then it's gonna have to come from us. Right?
It's come from us in the past.
I don't have a problem with that being on there.
As Rick said, I think
As
it's
long
getting
as,
better.
again, as long as the number is good.
Yeah.
I think it has to be honest, whatever it is.
Right,
You know, but I
yeah.
mean, an accurate number. Yeah.
And we might, last year might just, we might have to put an asterisk by that COVID-19 stuff
Mhm.
Yeah.
just threw a wrench into everything.
I guess I just kind of have another comment about student teacher ratio, and Annie, you brought up the paras and whether the paras are or are not included in that. I would be curious with the amount of the intervention, if it was those were to be paras. I don't know. I just wonder if it would be worth explaining to then the amount, like, I would imagine that we would have twice as many paras as other schools or something like that. Because I think our ratios have gone up, but we're also adding paras. So I feel like the ratios are going to show one story, but there's another part of the story. I think that just might be my concern, is that parents are going to see, wow, class sizes are going up. Well, yes, class sizes went up, but we have more paras. I think that's just one of my concern with the ratios, is I think that there's going to be more to the story. And I never would have even considered that had Annie not brought up that paras getting included or not included. That just,
I think Jim brought that one up, but yeah. Yeah, it is part of the story, and I think it's going to be part of the comment. I don't think it has to be part of our presentation. But let's see what the numbers say.
yeah.
Let's
yeah.
look at the
I
numbers
guess,
and make a decision.
I guess I'm just curious how all that would shake out, because I feel like that's a gripe the parents have often is, wow, our teacher ratio is going up. And I don't really know that really explains the whole story.
So we just need to figure out how we're gonna account for the paras.
Right. Yeah. So maybe there just needs to be.
There is also historic information on the Board of Ed website about support staff to
Yeah.
teacher ratio, to student ratio. And I think if we looked at that, we'd see that we are gaining in that one. Well, you know, so.
That's what what I'm kind of saying, because I feel like our teacher ratios are going up. But there's another side of the story, which is our support staff those ratios are going down.
Down.
And let's not forget that we had enrollment and staffing issues, you know what I mean? So.
And I wonder how that would get laid out this year, because we have positions that aren't filled. So I'd be curious if those numbers, the
Yeah.
pairs that we were unable to hire, I'm curious if that gets thrown into those, like,
I
numbers, like,
yeah, I think they're going to be.
Question is, Matt, one who knows about what gets filled out on those, and is supposed to get filled out on those forms.
yeah, okay,
Is it budgeted or is it how we actually operate?
right, right.
Yeah.
Those paras were in that interventionist deal, weren't they?
Say that.
They
louder.
were in the whole program for interventionists.
Yeah.
So when you say a student to teacher, the interventionist teacher, which they decided because they couldn't fill the para positions, they were going to take 2 para positions and make it 1 teacher, but that's not like a classroom teacher. So this whole student teacher ratio thing seems to me, it's a bunch of numbers being moved around, but it does not reflect accurately
The
what
true head count in
happens.
class.
Where are those staff being utilized?
Can I suggest that we ask Matt for information and then decide and move on?
The fact that we're the budget committee, we don't know is a problem.
Yes.
Okay, so let's
All
just
right.
end it there. And let's get
Yeah.
the numbers. And let's move on to the next slide, pretty please, with sugar on top.
With that,
Is there a football game tonight, Rick?
No,
not
Okay.
at all. Okay. We're gonna keep this one in there?
No. I mean, we're
No.
not,
No,
we're not
because
talking about any positions.
we're not do-
eliminated.
we're
Right.
not reducing positions.
Unexpended
Update
fund.
that one, yeah.
Yeah. Matt updated it.
What I'd like with this is to say that the current estimated taxes, when you get down to that, doesn't include any unexpended funds being returned at the end of the year. And that typically there are. Remember Carol used to include 750,000 as an estimate in unexpended funds when she did her revenue estimates?
No. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. It means I don't remember.
No,
that.
she did, and it was the same every year, so.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a ballpark figure. How do we explain those 2 years was 2 million?
That's all COVID related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they should have an asterisk next to
Agreed.
them.
Okay.
I think when people
Well,
see
and-
that,
And because I think too, I think there's a further slide that
Yeah.
points out, if you go down from last year, I think there was another slide that says like, will not happen again. Like, I
Yes.
think there was like a
Right
big
there.
slide that's
Just past it.
bad.
Go up. One more at the top, the heading will not repeat.
Yeah.
But it did repeat. Let's just make that clear.
But then it did repeat.
Yeah.
So.
so I don't know that you need that much detail, but I think just like an asterisk, because I think when people see you gave $2 million, boy, you did not do a very good job of budgeting. Were you padding this budget if we got that much money back? So I think it should just be asterisks, COVID related or something like that. And then you could explain, Jim, why there was such a huge return. And that should not be expected to happen.
What is Matt's comment here on Saturday? Jim, on the side?
La, la,
It's
la,
a
la.
true statement.
I don't think the word unexpected is accurate. Rather, I use the word surplus. This is because the amount being returned to taxpayers includes revenues above revenues estimates. For example, we received a huge refund of health insurance premiums that we have to record as revenue. Crazy government accounting for you.
Yeah.
All right. So then I said, okay, let's keep it in mind for the future so we can use it for guidance on what type of funds make up these numbers, because they may not be the same case for the previous years. He said, it's a true statement for all of the years presented. The numbers here are the net income using business language.
Okay.
So what I was saying to him is that because the year 2021, we had that increase, we had the revenues come back because nobody was using their
Yeah.
health insurance. So the money came back to us. So that's why I said that to him. Let's keep that in mind. So we might want to turn around and list it out, but I could also just turn around and say in the presentation that this is what made up that.
Matt told me today there's going to be about 350,000 in health coming back.
Coming back?
Yeah.
Okay.
There is every year. There's health and there's special ed that comes back to us. That's always in there. But,
Okay.
probably not $2.5 million worth. Yeah.
It's just like, it's about 25,000 shy to take care of the track, the auditorium, and the Wi-Fi.
What was,
Yeah.
I'm curious, what was it typically previous administration? What was the typical funds returned? Anything?
Right
Yeah.
there.
Was it around 1 million?
No,
Less?
it was less.
Okay.
They would do, the thing is that they would do the year-end spending sprees. And basically the difference is, and I'm sure that they 100% felt that those were necessary things, but they sprung it on people. What you guys are doing instead is you're saying, here are the things that are going to really need to be done. And we're going to figure out if we can a way to do it.
Yeah, okay.
It's a transparency issue.
Well, I don't know. I don't think that's legally the required to say we anticipate we might spend the unexpended funds. I mean, you don't know. If you get, like Matt said, you got revenue, more revenue than you expected. And these were things that you know that you needed in the budget. I don't think you're required to say, we think we're going to need this and we might spend it. I mean, these things I think are pretty critical.
I don't think I was talking about a legal thing.
Yeah,
I
she
was
was saying
talking about a
transparency, though.
communication. Transparency.
Transparency of,
I was talking about people who got upset because it wasn't transparent
and
in the past.
and the hope is that we're gonna have quotes and everything ahead of time so that it's not the 11th hour saying, oh, well, we have to go and take this quote for the track. Like, hopefully we'll be able to get all the quotes out ahead of time so that when the appropriate time comes, we'll have, I like think that the whole 3 quote thing was being tossed around, that we should be getting 3 bids for everything over,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was over 5,000. But I think that's one of the goals, is that if we're going to be spending the unexpended funds, that we do it in a,
According to your policy,
Well, I was going to say, that's policy.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
the
they have to
policy
do
wasn't
that.
followed very
Yeah.
often.
Vanessa,
Does it make sense to mention anything anywhere in any of this that we didn't factor in inflation for heating and electricity costs? That's not a surprise to people when,
yeah.
Do we
I don't
typically,
know where you would incorporate it,
No.
but
No,
Nope.
Matt, last week when we met, that was last week, right?
yeah, it was long.
Yeah, when we met with Matt and Tom last week, they explained he explained it all about how he has this whole group thing, and he felt that the costs that are in the proposed operating budget cover the inflationary increases, that he's going to be okay. He said he was comfortable with them.
no, they were putting together a separate warrant article to allow
Hey.
them to have an additional funding to cover things like that.
In case.
In case, yes.
Okay, so he was completely comfortable with the numbers that were in there and doesn't anticipate, because I was under the impression that he didn't fully consider the electricity, but maybe I am mistaken. Okay,
He considered all of it, but that warrant article, I believe that warrant article that they're putting together is to create a fund for any unexpected increases in the oil price or the electricity.
okay, so it was only not in the default, it was in the proposed. So the defaults would be a problem.
If it was in the default, you can't have inflation in the default. It's the
That's what it was.
same thing in the previous year, except for the one-offs
Okay,
and contracts. Yeah.
gotcha. Okay,
All right. So we need the
What?
21,
21, 22?
20.
But we don't know that.
That was a long time.
Right. That's
We don't know
unknown.
that, though.
So if you just say unknown.
Yes. Yes.
you didn't want to do projected?
Ah,
Why, I don't know, why would we even have that?
I think it's important to emphasize that those things have been tax credits that have lowered the taxes. I mean, we're projecting an increase of $1.83 or something. If it's important I think for when we're communicating this, to say this does not include any possible unexpended funds that get refunded at the end of the year. And I did ask Matt today, and he said that he has a spreadsheet that would say what the tax impact is if it was 500,000 or $1 million or whatever it would be, so that we can know what that is.
I think it's also a feel-good slide too.
What if there are no
Yeah.
this is basically saying you're gonna get money back.
No, it isn't. It's saying you might. It's
It's-
unknown.
You're not getting money back. Nobody's getting money back. It
If you-
offsets your
This is
tax.
just saying, in
Right.
You're not going to get a check.
Good point.
2021, you got.
But it's to be determined what funds are returned to you. to
Right.
be determined.
Right.
But I'm saying there may be zero funds returned to you.
Right.
Well, there will be at least,
That's not returned. No funds returned.
there will be at least 545,000.
We don't know that.
All right, so do we want to take this year out?
Listen, I really think there will be short, but I'm just,
I don't think.
I
we're
think
gonna-
it's reasonable to say that we have extra money in here, that we have, I mean, that's good budgeting, that you have some extra money in the budget.
Okay, so you want to show a hand?
I don't have a huge problem. I don't like,
Well,
it's not that
okay.
big a deal.
All right, I'll just delete this row.
I don't
It's
want you
not,
to delete it.
I don't
Okay.
like have a hard, I'm against it. I think it's
I don't see the purpose of it. You know what I mean? It doesn't
that's-
serve any purpose. Sorry.
She
I
said,
said, I don't like the to be determined in there. It just doesn't serve any purpose. Just state what we've already returned and leave it out.
I think it's important that people know that it hasn't been determined and it's not in the calculations for the budget or for how much the tax impact is going to be. I think it's a transparent statement to the people who are listening to this stuff, if anybody does, that, you know, this is money which may or may not be there, which will be available to help if it is there.
Okay, do you want to change it TBD to unknown?
No,
or-
I think TBD is fine.
so
Okay.
do we then move the slide about I say critical, because I believe they are, but necessary needs not in the budget? Because if you're being transparent, there's already been discussion by both the budget committee and the board that those may be paid by the funds going back. So if we're going to say there's going to be funds coming back, we should probably say that, you know, these are some things that may reduce those funds coming back.
I think that's good. Yeah.
So we're gonna run this up underneath.
Well, no, I'm just saying they should go together.
I think they are
Yeah, I
together
think-
after all the ones we took out, but
Yeah,
Are they?
see, I don't
yeah,
know.
they will be,
Oh, no, that,
because we go from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 are removed. 14 is here,
so you want to put 16 up
This-
there?
goes there. So,
So you put that in front of the,
enrollment and staffing,
no,
but this is underneath.
Oh, you're saying put it in front of slide 8?
No.
He's saying put the unexpended fund return in front of slide 8
Oh, okay.
for the storytelling. That makes sense.
So we want this. Here. Did it go? No, it didn't. Slide 7.
7, yeah, 7.
You want it in front of that one or behind it?
front of it, please.
There we go.
Yeah, I like that.
Good. Good. That works.
Yeah, all right. So then we're gonna talk about, in the story, it's gonna be, this is what has been returned, and then we go into the possibilities of money that's gonna get used that you may not see. It's gonna affect the TBD.
Good.
Could be any one of those, any two of those, or all three of them.
I'm not gonna turn around and answer that.
No, I'm just
And I,
commenting it.
I
It
can't.
doesn't,
Yeah.
it's not a package like this is all the money that
Right.
would be
No.
spent.
and there are other, and I think
true.
it should be
True.
open-ended too, because there are other things on there too that could be,
The little greenhouse.
yeah, there's other things that could be done as well. So I think you just have to leave it kind of open-ended, like we're just picking out a couple of the really key ones, but
About some important needs not in the operating budget.
Oh, don't even,
just leave, yeah, I just
leave it
Good.
alone. Let's
Let's
Yeah,
go
let's
on.
just move on.
Let's
We're,
go
we're.
on.
Let's move on.
Let's go on.
9 o'clock. Come on.
15, all right, enrollment and staffing.
That we heard.
17, reserve accounts.
That's an important one.
Yep. 18.
Oh, wait a minute, go back to that one.
What?
Can you make those bigger?
Yeah,
So
please.
what's the-
Can I be picky?
contingency fund, does that exist or is that the one they're proposing?
No, the contingency fund does exist. That's the one that we have. That's the one that we use for anything that needs to be done.
That's the 2.5% and unexpended funds that the school board gets to reserve for a year in case of emergencies that we approve being spent, and so is DRA and everybody else. If we run out of all money.
Jim,
And we're gonna propose another one.
Vanessa?
can you just, I'm weird about this, but can you, rather than center align, left align the name of the funds? It's easier to read.
Yes,
Just for somebody looking down a list, it's very clear, special education, like do a left alignment rather than the middle, like you have it.
Yeah.
Vanessa, I like the way you think.
I'm very methodical.
Hey.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you.
So do you want me to go through that on all of them?
Yeah,
It's up to you. It only really stood out for this one. It's
Yeah, no, I agree. Like it's funny, like the little things that we pick up on, but I think are important.
Okay, so on this slide, do you want them
yes.
aligned left?
Yeah,
Okay.
might as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I might like align right myself.
I think it's a female thing.
Yeah, really. All right, so that's 17. Obviously, you're done with that slide now.
You know what? Align the numbers too. How about, or not? I mean, some of them have 0.34 and, you know,
Yeah, those should be right aligned, Rick.
Yeah, that's how they would be on a math sheet. The kids get home from school, right?
Wow.
There you go. Look at that.
put 0.00 in the 545.
Yeah, you're not consistent there.
Yeah, there was another one you
The
didn't have,
bottom
like,
one,
the dollar sign.
545.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Matthew.
Ah.
Yeah, no kidding. Good job, Matt. All right. All right, that's whipped. 18.
Done.
Hide it.
Gone.
Yeah,
Gone.
yeah. I thought we already this one.
No, we didn't hit any.
Oh,
Staff and contracts.
No, we're not doing staff this year.
Well,
Future considerations.
staff, different
So
staff.
this is
Was this in last year's?
yeah.
So,
why would you take that out?
I don't know. I was highlighting it to
Yeah, I was
say, what do
wondering
we
that
want to do?
too.
Do we want to leave this in there or not?
I think, yeah, if we're gonna leave, yeah. I mean, we had it in there. I mean, it's still the same. There's nothing
That's fine.
different
fine.
now than there
Take
was.
out the spaces after and the second to bottom one. Whoop.
Second to bottom one.
Oh, it's out. You're good now.
Okay.
Sanborn needs to balance improving student outcomes and watch costs to attract and retain students and families.
How about we just change?
Maybe we take
Sanborn
out number
needs to-
4. Actually, the budget proposal accomplishes both. That's kind of
That's
going
part
back
of
to our
this one
purpose.
here. That was,
Yeah, what's
that's
both?
supposed to be
There's-
part of this right here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this, I don't know why we ended up spacing that out last year.
Student outcomes.
can I ask something?
Vanessa?
Just because this future consideration goes out a few years, Jim, does that voucher program and the loss of revenue, is that something that should be just vaguely mentioned for future considerations? It's tricky, but it is something.
Day, I know.
It could also lead to people, if we actually improve some of our outcomes, it could lead to people choosing to vouch into ours.
Yeah.
Could, but based on Matt's projected numbers that he gave us, it was negative number, there wasn't any positive because it's reduced funding from the state too, and so it's,
I didn't see any numbers from him on that.
it was a private email that I had sent to Matt questioning it, like from my personal, it wasn't a budget committee thing.
Oh,
I wanted to understand it because I don't know much about it. So I wanted to understand, is it, impacting the district right now and what's going on with that? I don't know. I just wanted to mention it. If it should be future considerations, potential impacts from the voucher program. Maybe it's just something, you know what I mean? So it's just,
Well,
in case it comes up, it's mentioned.
yeah, that voucher program is in effect.
Yeah.
And they're trying to tie that into our property taxes. Was the last thing that I saw about that. And then we also have the universal childcare coming in there for preschool.
Preschool, yeah.
Oh,
So
Yeah,
You-
where do we draw the line? I'm not saying
That's-
that's not, that we shouldn't. I'm just saying we probably,
I think it's,
well, I think that the universal pre-K isn't approved yet, right? We know the Fremont contract ends in 2026.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Keep it-
this is all factual stuff that we know is going on. We're dealing
Right.
with it. The preschool and the voucher program, that's
the voucher
That's-
program, we have no idea if it's going to end up
Yeah.
in a loss or if it's going to be actually a positive for Sanborn. I mean,
Right.
if we start performing, getting better results on our testing, we could end up with a lot of kids wanting to come here instead of going to Exeter, which is going down.
Yeah, I think that we don't want to get into that.
no, we're not.
It's
No. Okay, so
Too
we're
much
not gonna
unknown.
add the voucher program and the pre-K details to this because we're not.
It's been discussed enough, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are facts.
Yep.
Well,
All right.
possible.
I don't like the size of this slide.
No, I
I
know,
don't
gotta
even
work
know
on
what
that
this
one.
is.
It's a crazy little table.
Budget funding estimated.
All right, let's take care of this one here.
Are those current numbers?
Yes, anything that does not have a line through it is current.
What is that box?
It's white.
No percentage in that first one?
is the
It's
total.
not,
That's a total.
that's
yeah.
the proposed operating budget.
There was a white that,
What is the
you don't have
percentage?
all black there.
The figures
box
below are the
that-
percentage of it.
That one is black, is not black. See?
Yeah. First two.
Yeah.
That's because it was,
Oh, you took
Taking
it
it
out.
out.
Budget funding. Estimated revenues. Estimated local revenues.
You may have to make that 2 slides.
uh,
Mm,
That's good.
no,
well,
that's
this one I can reduce down in size because it doesn't have to be that big.
Oh, so that slide on the right is the detail of the second
Yeah,
row on the left side?
yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Estimated local
Yeah,
revenues.
That doesn't- Don't read all those numbers.
Oh, heck no.
Please.
I know.
Can you grid line those?
Yeah, all right, I'll work on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
please.
can go back, right?
Yes.
I am concerned that people aren't going to be able to read these slides.
Yeah, change the year on that fiscal year.
They'll have handouts too, Vanessa.
Let's make, we didn't have enough last year, right? Was that the problem?
You had none last year.
Yeah, I think because.
Zero.
But none at the public hearing.
I think. because of
Zero.
COVID.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
Jim?
Yes.
Phyllis, I saw Phyllis at the high school today. She said that she'll put the ad in for the public hearing if you want her to. She's got it all written and
Yeah.
everything. She knows when to do it.
Sure. Okay. All right, so tax impact for a $300,000 house. The proposed operating budget is $37,179,463.
Yeah, you don't need to read
Yeah, I'm not reading that.
it.
So the proposed operating budget, tax impact on a $300,000 house for Kingston will be $5,370. And in Newton, it's $5,679. And then the proposed default budget is,
A little higher.
yeah, a smidgen higher. And I should actually, when I start that off, is highlight that when I state the difference between the two. But anyways, for a house in Kingston is $5,379, and in Newton it's $5,688.
So can I suggest you just say the T-vault budget is somewhat higher and not these numbers?
I don't really mind the reading. I mean, somewhat. It's $9.
How about if I do?
I mean, maybe
how-
you could say it's $9 more for a $300,000 house in Kingston and $9 more for a $300,000 home in Newton.
That's good.
Do we want to say how this compares to the current taxes? Like, because I remember people talking about Newton's gone down or Kingston's gone down this much per thousand.
Were you talking about the total town taxes? Because we are not gonna.
No,
speak
this,
on
in
behalf of-
fact, Tom emphasized this, that the school portion has gone down. This is like, it never goes down. The school portion has gone down.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
do remember that.
So
But he
can
was
we
saying
say that, you know,
Yeah. It's probably,
last year, not, you know how we did in the beginning where we said the current, from the current budget, it's gone up a certain percent. Can we
Yeah.
say this budget will be this much percentage lower than the current tax rate?
Okay.
but it,
We can get those numbers.
right, but it won't be this year, right?
It'll be higher.
It'll be higher this year.
For
gonna
next
be-
year's budget?
Yeah.
Yeah, for next year's budget, it's going to be higher. Because don't forget, that's the default budget. The default budget is still $1 million and change higher than this year's operating budget. When you put in contractual agreements and all that stuff, the default budget still goes up.
They're up pretty substantially. I figured it out. It's about 650 something dollars for a house.
Okay. So speaking point for this would be, do we want to have a speaking point on this any further or no?
I would just leave it at that. Because they're not going down this year.
I think on the warrant article, you know, when we do the warrant article, what we've typically done is the amount, the tax amount and the change, you know, up or down. And so we need to do it at some point. I think you ought to ask Matt for it,
Say what the change
just to
is.
be fully transparent.
And is this the proposed default budget or is this the default budget?
It is the,
Okay, Take proposed.
Yeah, I feel like we might have said the same thing last year too. It shouldn't be proposed default budget. It should just be default budget.
Yeah. And it's not an operating budget, it's proposed budget.
it's a proposed operating budget.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
that's official terms for it.
Oh, yeah, Okay.
We need to close this out. I'm fading.
All right, so the proposed operating budget, this is an operating budget driven by student enrollment trends, provides efficient use of funds for the needs of all students, intervention program, fully funded, meets all needs and requirements, recommended to the votes.
So if we're gonna have this enrollment trend in there, that statement, then we need to have that slide in there.
Yeah.
So if we end up taking that slide out for whatever reason, then we'll need to change that. But I think we at least agreed that the enrollment trend should be on there.
I don't like that word driven,
What word?
So
driven.
I'm drawing a blank. What is the new contracts coming up? Support staff?
Paraprofessionals.
Support staff.
Support
Or
staff.
support, yeah.
Reflect student enrollment trends and needs, driven by the needs, it really is.
Yeah.
Not the
How about
enrollment.
based
trend.
on the needs? This operating budget is based
Yeah,
on student enrollment.
Well, maybe it should be flip-flopped. It
Right.
should be driven by the needs of all students. And then the next line should be driven by enrollments.
I agree with you.
Because the important thing is the need of the students than
Okay.
the enrollment,
This is an operating budget.
driven by the needs of all students.
I don't know. Do we even need that? I would say this operating budget
It's in there twice.
provides efficient use of funds, fully funds the intervention program, and meets all needs and requirements.
I agree with you.
Take out because it's not driven by student enrollment. In fact, I was lectured by Mr. Ambrose.
This is
that.
operating budget driven by the needs.
So this is an operating budget, or just
This
this operating budget provides
Yeah.
efficient use
yeah.
of funds, intervention program fully funded, meets all needs and requirements.
Okay, are we good with that? You got ahead of me there.
No,
This
take
operating
out the
budget.
driven by the needs of the students.
Yeah.
bullet,
Do provides as your first bullet.
bullet right there, yeah.
Where's the book? All right.
You'll fix it later.
Yeah.
Mr. Edelman has his hand.
Okay.
Rick? I don't believe it meets all needs. I believe it meets most needs. If it met all needs, we won't have to worry about wireless.
Mm.
Good point.
How about the
Right.
needs of students?
I'm cool with that.
I think it meets most needs and requirements, not all needs. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it meets all the needs, the current needs of this, this,
Most needs or most students?
where it says meets all needs and requirements. I don't believe it meets all needs.
Yeah, but I'm saying, should it say most needs or
He's talking about
most
the last-
students?
Take that last bullet out.
Last bullet. He's
Oh,
talking about
I'm
more.
sorry, I'm looking at the wrong.
Yeah,
I'm looking
yeah,
at. the
I'm
wrong-
talking-
Okay.
I thought he was,
Yeah.
We're
that's
getting
what
rid
I
of
was
that
thinking
Yeah.
first too. then I thought-
Yeah, okay. So, okay, then do we need to change the line up top if we're saying it doesn't meet the needs of all, if we're,
Efficient use of funds for the needs of all students. I think that's good still to have in there.
well, do we need to take the all out if we just? I don't really care.
No.
No, that's good, okay.
No, yeah, no, my thing was, the other bullet point said that it meets all needs.
Right.
And it doesn't meet all the needs. Forget students. I'm talking about, the budget encompasses the buildings and everything else. So
Right.
It doesn't include everything.
And you done. Thank you for coming.
Yay.
All right, let's go through it one more time.
All right.
We want to meet next week or do you want to do it now?
We need Matt's input on some stuff
Yeah.
before we make some decisions.
Next week, are we meeting? with the
No,
budget?
Next week's with the
oh, shoot, we're
I
meeting
mean, with the
next week?
school board?
school board, but
Well,
that's
what is
if-
that meeting for?
That meeting would be for if we ended up making an adjustment to the budget
Oh, okay.
and then we have to kick it back to them.
Okay.
We come in, we have this meeting, we start this, then they're doing whatever they do between the time that we send it to them, that more would be bringing that to them. And
I have an idea. How
just,
about if we meet the first Thursday in January to finalize this thing? And then we'll be ready for the public hearing.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what
I
was
already
gonna
have
say.
that on my calendar.
there.
I
Yeah,
know, but I'm just saying, no more meetings between now and then, that's all.
I second your motion.
Okay.
Yeah, so Jim, if you could clean this up, make those little changes and send it out to us, and then we'll talk about it in January.
Yeah.
We'll do
Yeah.
the finalized.
Well, what you can do is send in your comments and then I can, have them all ready. We just rip right through it,
Well, except for whatever Matt's going to tell us.
Sure.
Uh, So can you get the information from Matt before you send it out to us?
I'll see you
Yeah.
when, yeah, I should be
I
able
was
to,
gonna
do it
say,
because it's next January, yeah.
He told me he thought he could do it tomorrow.
Yeah, so like within,
Okay.
and then we'll review it.
No more for December.
Merry Christmas.
Oh.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year.
yeah, Merry Christmas.
So,
Vanessa?
Yes.
Yes.
sir,
I'm up for what?
motion?
Public comment?
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, God, yeah, public comment.
Yeah, right.
So, okay, there is no public comment. Committee comment.
No.
Merry Christmas.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second? All right,
All in
drive
favor?
carefully, Vanessa.